Under a red sky, the world seems to hold its breath. On September 7th, the blood moon will rise, and with it comes a force that has stirred kings, mystics, and monks for thousands of years. This eclipse is not just another mark on the calendar. It is a rare alignment of heaven and earth, a moment when energy intensifies, shadows lengthen, and hidden truths rise to the surface. In the old monasteries, we were taught that such nights are tests. They strip away illusions. They reveal the imbalance within us that we try to ignore during ordinary days. The blood moon asks a simple but piercing question: where are you not aligned with the truth of your own life? Shaolin wisdom says that true mastery begins not with action, but with turning the gaze inward to see clearly the self you often keep hidden. In this video, I will share what this eclipse truly means, beyond the superstition and beyond the surface. You will learn why ancient cultures treated nights like this with reverence, how Shaolin teachings reveal the inner lessons hidden behind the spectacle, and why this particular eclipse carries a spiritual weight unlike most others. You will see how awareness, discipline, and presence transform the raw power of this night into a step toward mastery. Stay with me until the end, because there is one truth about this eclipse that very few speak of, and it may change how you walk through the days ahead. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If these teachings speak to you, if you seek strength not just in the body but in the spirit, then subscribe and walk this path with us. When the moon turns red, it is as if the sky itself is revealing what has been hidden in the shadows. The ordinary silver light of a full moon often brings clarity, but under the eclipse, clarity is not gentle. It is sharper, heavier, unafraid to expose what you would rather keep buried. In my early years of training, we were told that life moves in cycles of concealment and revelation. Some truths arrive like sunlight, warming and steady. Others break through like thunder, demanding your attention. The blood moon belongs to the second. Its red hue does not whisper, it calls out the endings you have delayed, the transformations you have resisted, the patterns that can no longer survive. I once watched a fellow disciple struggle with anger. For months, he mastered behind discipline and silence. But during the days of the eclipse, his temper flared in training until it could no longer be ignored. That breaking point became his turning point. It was not the moon that forced his change, but the intensity of the time revealed what was already waiting inside him. This is the nature of the blood moon. It shows you what has reached its limit. Relationships that cannot grow, habits that drain your spirit, doubts that weaken your resolve, they all come to the surface. Transformation is not always graceful. Sometimes it feels like loss, sometimes like fire. But Shaolin wisdom teaches that fire refines metal. The heat that feels destructive is the same force that shapes strength. So when the red light stretches across the night, see it not as a curse, but as a mirror. It does not invent your shadows. It only makes them visible. And once seen, they can no longer control you. During an eclipse, the air itself feels different, thicker, charged, alive. In Buddhist tradition, it is said that what you do in these hours does not vanish into the ordinary stream of cause and effect. It multiplies. A single thought of kindness, a single word of truth, a single breath taken with awareness can ripple outward with a force far greater than usual. The same is true for anger, envy, or fear. This is why the ancients treated such nights with reverence, with silence, with care. There is a story told of a monk who, during a lunar eclipse, would sit perfectly still for hours, repeating only one thought: may all beings be free from suffering. He believed that the potency of that moment could plant a seed vast enough to shade generations. His life itself became proof. Wherever he went, conflict dissolved, and peace seemed to follow, not because of power, but because of the weight carried in the discipline of that practice. Mindfulness in these hours is not a luxury. It is protection and it is power. To let your mind wander into restlessness is to scatter your energy when it could be gathered into something unshakable. Discipline here means choosing the quality of your inner state with precision, not rushing, not reacting, simply breathing, noticing and holding your awareness like a flame that must not be extinguished. In Shaolin practice, mastery is never about how much force you can unleash, but about how deeply you can contain it, refine it, and direct it with intention. The eclipse offers the same lesson. One deep breath, rooted in awareness, can carry more strength now than 100 careless actions on ordinary days. The question is, what seed will you choose to plant in this magnified silence? The mind is like a candle flame in the wind, always flickering, never still for long. Thoughts arise, emotions stir, and without noticing, attention drifts into worry, memory, or desire. Most of the time, we live as if carried by these currents, but discipline begins the moment you see the drift and gently bring yourself back. During the eclipse, this practice gains unusual sharpness. The energy of the night heightens emotion and quickens the mind. Anger can flare more easily, fear can feel heavier, desire more urgent, yet in that intensity lies a gift. When you catch the thought just as it begins, before it becomes action, you discover a freedom that few ever taste. You are no longer at the mercy of impulse. You stand at the gate of choice. In the old training horse, monks were tested not only by the strength of their bodies, but by the control of their minds. One story tells of a disciple who was ordered to stand guard all night at the temple gate during a lunar eclipse. Shadows moved, the forest stirred, and his imagination filled the silence with fear. But each time his mind wandered, he returned to the rhythm of his breath. By morning, he had not only guarded the temple, he had guarded himself. This is the essence of mastery, the ability to return, not once, but again and again, to see distraction, to name it, and to guide attention home without violence, without judgment. In doing so, you forge a steadiness that no eclipse, no chaos, no shifting sky can shake. Each return is a victory. Each return is proof that your mind is not your master, it is your servant. Discipline is often mistaken for hardness, for pushing yourself until exhaustion, for crushing weakness with sheer will. But true Shaolin discipline is softer, quieter, and far more enduring. It is not about how fiercely you act in a single moment, but about how steadily you return to your path day after day, no matter how you feel. Feelings rise and fall like the tides. Some days the body is strong, other days it resists. Some mornings the mind is sharp, other mornings it is heavy with doubt. If you allow these fluctuations to dictate your actions, your path will be broken, scattered, without rhythm. But when you act with consistency, choosing to move, to breathe, to practice, even in small ways, you build a foundation that nothing can shake. There is a story of a Shaolin novice who asked his master why he had to sweep the temple courtyard every morning. "The leaves return each night," he complained, "and by midday the ground is covered again." The master replied, "The point is not the courtyard, the point is you. Each sweep is a choice. Each sweep is proof that you can act beyond how you feel." In time the novice understood. The simple act of sweeping became a mirror of his mind, steadier, clearer, freer from resistance. The eclipse carries a similar lesson. Many will look for visions, for sudden highs, for signs in the sky. But the true gift of this moment lies in the choice to remain calm and deliberate, not swept away by emotion or expectation. To stand steady under a sky of fire is to prove that your center is not determined by what surrounds you. Discipline, in its purest form, is not force, it is unwavering presence. Harmony is not the absence of conflict, it is the art of balance, of arranging the discordant parts of life until they move together like instruments in the same song. Shaolin teaches that when something feels out of sync, when emotion stirs too strongly, when thought becomes restless, it is not a sign of failure, it is an invitation to notice, to adjust, to return. The eclipse brings these tensions to the surface with unusual force. Emotions may rise suddenly, like waves crashing against stone. Old fears, forgotten regrets, hidden longings, all can appear under the red glow. The first step is not to run or resist. The first step is to see clearly, to name what is rising without judgment. This is fear, this is anger, this is grief. By naming it, you bring it into the light where it loses its grip. In the monastery, a young disciple once struggled with jealousy. During training, he compared himself to others, and his mind twisted in quiet bitterness. His master instructed him to bow each morning before practice and speak his jealousy aloud, not to shame himself, but to face it directly. With time, the emotion no longer ruled him. By seeing it, naming it, and then choosing alignment with discipline, he transformed jealousy into motivation and eventually into compassion for others on the same path. This is harmony in motion. Not perfection, not stillness untouched by life, but the constant dance of seeing what is off balance and returning to center. The eclipse reminds us that upheaval is not the enemy. It is the raw material of balance. To stand in harmony is not to silence the storm, but to hold your footing while the storm passes through. Letting go is often more difficult than holding on. The mind clings to what is familiar even when it hurts, even when it drains the spirit. Old habits, worn-out attachments, beliefs that once gave comfort but now create chains, we carry them like stones in a basket, convinced we cannot set them down. Yet Shaolin wisdom reminds us that the true posture of strength is light, not heavy. To rise, you must release. The blood moon is a call to examine these hidden weights. Its shadow does not only darken the sky, it exposes what has become unnecessary within you. Just as a fighter cannot strike with precision while gripping fear, the spirit cannot move freely while burdened with the past. Releasing does not mean rejecting what was. It means honoring its place in your journey and then stepping forward without it. There is a tale of a novice who trained tirelessly but could not perfect his form. His movements were always rigid, strained. One evening, his master handed him a jar filled with stones and asked him to practice while holding it. The next day, the master told him to pour the stones out. Suddenly, the same movements became fluid, graceful, alive. The novice realized he had been carrying invisible stones all along: expectations, comparisons, fear of failure. By letting them go, his body and spirit lifted together. So too in life. Attachments that no longer serve you may have once given safety, but now they steal energy meant for growth. The blood moon is not asking you to lose, it is asking you to choose. Each release is a bow to freedom. Each release allows your posture to straighten, your breath to deepen, and your path to open with clarity. In Shaolin tradition, movement is never just movement. Each strike, each stance, each breath is a mirror reflecting the state of the mind. Qigong and martial forms appear outwardly as physical training, but within them lies a deeper path, one that reveals where the spirit is steady and where it still trembles. The body does not lie. When the mind wavers, the breath shortens, the shoulders tighten, the step falters. When the mind is clear, the body flows as if guided by water. During an eclipse, this awareness sharpens. The energy of the night amplifies what is already within. A restless mind makes the body restless. A centered mind brings balance even in silence. By simply standing still, breathing with awareness, you can sense the points of resistance that hide beneath the surface. Where does the chest feel heavy? Where does the jaw lock? Each tension is a message, an unopened letter from the mind to the body. In the monastery, a young disciple once struggled with endless thoughts. His master instructed him not to fight them, but to practice slow, deliberate movements under the moonlight. Step by step, with each controlled breath, his thoughts began to quiet. It was not the form itself that calmed him. It was the presence demanded by the form. The body became the gate through which the mind finally entered stillness. This is the essence of Shaolin practice. The outer movement guiding the inner stillness, the body training the mind as much as the mind trains the body. On the night of the blood moon, even a single slow breath, fully present, can reconnect body and spirit. In that union lies clarity, strength, and a calm that endures beyond the passing of the shadow. Regret and shame are heavy companions. They cling to the edges of memory and whisper that you could have acted differently, that you should have been more, less, or better. But the truth is simple. The past is stone. It cannot be reshaped, only released. To carry it endlessly is to walk bent, unable to see the path ahead. An eclipse has the power to draw these buried emotions to the surface. Old mistakes, forgotten guilt, moments you thought were gone, they may return with unusual force under the red light. This is not punishment, it is revelation. What was hidden asks to be seen. The lesson is not to wrestle with it nor to bury it again, but to let it rise like smoke and watch it dissolve into the air. There is an old story of a monk who carried a bowl of water across a courtyard every day. One morning, the master struck the side of the bowl, and ripples distorted the reflection of the sky. "This is your mind," he said. "Every regret, every shame is a stone cast into it. If you keep throwing stones, you will never see clearly." The monk learned to set the bowl down, to let the surface return to stillness on its own. Equanimity is this still surface. It does not mean indifference, nor does it mean forgetting. It is the steady ground beneath waves, the unshaken flame in the wind. When the eclipse stirs your inner waters, notice what rises, breathe, and allow it to pass. The discipline is in not reaching for it again, not replaying the story until it binds you once more. To let go is not weakness, it is mastery over the self. To be your own master is the highest form of freedom. It is not about ruling others, nor about escaping life's storms. It is about ruling yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, so they no longer rule you. The blood moon, with its intensity and its shadows, is the perfect stage to practice this sovereignty. Reactions come quickly, like sparks from dry wood. Someone speaks harshly, and anger rises, a memory surfaces, and regret grips the heart. These sparks may feel small, but if you let them burn unchecked, they consume you. Mastery is the art of seeing the spark before it becomes fire, and choosing not to feed it. This choice is what separates impulse from wisdom. In Shaolin history, there is a tale of a warrior monk who was insulted in front of a crowd. The onlookers waited for him to retaliate, to strike and prove his strength. Instead, he bowed, turned, and walked away in silence. When asked why, he said, "If I hand my peace to another man's anger, then I am his servant, not my own master." His restraint was not weakness, it was sovereignty. During the eclipse, emotions can flare more fiercely than usual. The red light does not create them, it magnifies what already lives within you. This is where the discipline of choice matters most. You may not control what arises in the mind, but you can decide how to respond. Each breath gives you that chance. Each pause returns the authority of your life back into your own hands. Sovereignty is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is the strength of walking your path without being pulled by every shadow or storm. Under the blood moon, to choose response over reaction is to step fully into your own power. There are times when the mind is loud, filling every corner with questions, plans, and restless movement. And there are rare times, like a lunar eclipse, when the world itself seems to hush. In that hush, intuition speaks. It does not shout, it does not argue, it whispers. The discipline is in becoming quiet enough to hear it. Intuition is not a mystery gift given to a few. It is the body's wisdom refined by countless experiences, stored deep within. The trouble is that most people drown it out with constant noise. To listen inward requires stillness, and stillness is a skill. The eclipse offers a chance to practice it, not to set grand intentions or to rush into action, but simply to pause and notice what truth already lives in your gut unspoken. There is a story told of a monk who always hesitated in sparring. His technique was flawless, but he doubted himself and overthought each movement. One day his master blindfolded him and ordered him to defend without sight. At first he stumbled, but slowly he began to trust the subtle cues, the sound of a footstep, the shift of air, the tension in his own muscles. Without his eyes, his body knew what his mind had been too loud to hear. From then on, his movements carried a new confidence, born not from thought, but from trust in his inner knowing. So it is with intuition. During the eclipse, sit in the quiet. Notice how your chest feels when you think of a choice, how your breath changes, how your body softens or tightens. These are messages as clear as words. Trust them. For in trusting, you align not with fleeting thoughts, but with the deeper rhythm that guides your path. In many traditions, certain nights are said to open the unseen. The blood moon of September carries such a weight, for it falls during Pitru Paksha, a sacred time when the boundary between the living and the departed grows thin. It is believed that ancestors draw near, not to haunt, but to remind us of the lineage we carry, the stories written into our bones, the wisdom passed quietly through generations. This thinning of the veil is not about strange visions or ghostly signs. It is about listening deeper than usual, reaching into the quiet layers of memory and spirit. You may feel sudden emotions that do not seem your own, or dreams that echo voices long gone. In Shaolin practice, we are taught that nothing arises without root. Some roots stretch beyond a single lifetime into the choices of those who walk before us. To touch these roots is to touch the depth of your own purpose. There is a tale of a disciple who felt lost in training, unable to find meaning in his path. One night, during Pitru Paksha, he sat in meditation and dreamt of his grandfather, a farmer who had worked the soil with steady hands. In the dream, the old man said, "Your strength is not yours alone. It comes from all who stood before you. Use it well." When the disciple woke, his doubt had lifted. He realized his practice was not just for himself, but for the line of life flowing through him. This blood moon invites the same recognition, to pause, to breathe, and to sense that your journey is not isolated. You are a bridge between past and future, between seen and unseen. In honoring that, clarity emerges, and the soul remembers why it chose this path. The blood moon reminds us that the greatest power is not in the sky, but in the way we meet ourselves beneath it. Discipline, presence, balance, these are not abstract ideas. They are choices you can practice with every breath, every step, every moment of awareness. When you face endings, meet them with grace. When transformation calls, walk into it with courage. When shadows rise, see them clearly and let them pass. This eclipse is a mirror. What you choose to see and how you choose to respond becomes the foundation of your path forward. Remember, mastery is not built in grand gestures, but in quiet, steady acts of alignment day after day. May this blood moon be a teacher for you. May it guide you not into fear, but into clarity, strength, and peace. Thank you for walking this path with us. If these teachings resonate, support our journey by liking this video and subscribing to our channel Shaolin Soulfire. Together, let us keep the flame of inner mastery alive.